Hi everyone, today I want to talk about altimeter setting and why I need to set altimeter setting regarding to local operation stations. First of all, let's talk about altimeter. What's altimeter? Basically, altimeter shows true altitude or height above sea level. For example, it's sea level and height above sea level. Altimeter shows its height above sea level. So altimeter basically equipped with this anode capsule is mounted and like this. Mounted is behind the altimeter that we cannot see from the cockpit. So anode capsule sensitive to static or ambient pressure, and altimeter connected to static port, which is measures ambient or static pressure. So usually in Cessna, static port mounted in external front of the fuselage, so measure static pressure ambient and transfer this information to the altimeter and shows the altimeter altitude above sea level. So first of all, let's talk about is what will happen when altimeter located is different altitude. So for example, elevation is equal 0 at sea level. In higher altitude, due to the air density is less, pressure decreasing. And air density decreasing. So because between air molecule a lot of is room and resulting air density decreasing and pressure decreasing. How about is lower altitude? In lower altitude, due to the air molecule is less room between them, so air density increasing, resulting pressure increasing. So when altimeter located is lower altitude, due to the pressure increasing, anode capsule due to this sensitive to static pressure, anode capsule in this situation in lower altitude compress like this, resulting altimeter shows decreasing. And when altimeter located this higher altitude, due to the pressure decreasing, anode capsule expanded like this, resulting altimeter shows increasing. So this is basic fundamental altimeter functional in different altitude. So let's do one example for better understanding. You have planned to go to the cross country from station C, cruise flight level is flight level, for example, 4,500 feet above sea level. And in the middle of the way, there is a station B. So after set the altimeter setting in that ground in this station, station A. For example, altimeter setting is equal to 2900. So after takeoff, reach to flight level 4,500 feet, start to en route. And as we know, when before reach this station, usually 5 minutes before this control area or control zone, you should be set the local pressure. In this station, station B, for example, altimeter setting is equal to 2930. So if you don't reset the altimeter setting at this station, when you are at the 4,500 feet above sea level, what will happen and what's the altitude shows in altimeter setting? Due to in the station B, you are in higher pressure. Why? Because altimeter 2930 in comparison to 2900 that you did set the altimeter when you were at the ground before takeoff. This station is higher pressure, right? So in higher pressure, when altimeter is located in this area, what will happen in altimeter? As we know, in higher pressure, air density increasing, resulting anaerobe capsule in altimeter compress, right? And altimeter shows and start automatically to decreasing. How much decreasing we can calculate by subtract from local pressure from altimeter that before takeoff you set the altimeter setting. So 2900 minus local pressure at this station, 2930 multiply 1000. What's the 1000 feet? As we know, from sea level, if you are assuming you are at the sea level, for each 1000 feet and going up, pressure for each 1000 feet, pressure will be decreasing 1 inch of mercury. For example, at this station. So why that we need to multiply at 1000 feet for calculate how much altimeter shows increasing or how much shows decreasing. So 2900 local pressure at station where you took off, 2900 minus and minus 2930. Multiply 1000, so 2900 minus 2930 multiply 1000, 300 feet. It's equal 300 feet above sea level. So at this station, due to the we are in higher pressure, altimeter shows decreasing. How much decreasing? 300 feet. 300 feet from altimeter or flight level 4,500. 4,500 minus 300 feet above equal 4,200. Sure. Altimeter shows 4,200 if you don't reset the altimeter setting to local pressure. In this situation, what will happen due to the we need to maintain altitude at 4,500 feet, pilot start to climb. How much? 300 feet, because altimeter basically should be shows to pilot 4,500 feet. But due to the altimeter located at the higher pressure, altimeter shows 4,200 feet automatically. So start to climb 300 feet above to reach to 4,500 feet. And when altimeter shows 4,500 feet, you set the aircraft to level off again and continue en route. But actual height and physically, you are not at 4,500 feet because you start to climb from flight level 4,500 feet, 300 feet above actual height. So physically, you are at 4,800 feet above sea level, while altimeter shows 4,500 feet because you didn't set the altimeter setting. So when fly from low pressure to high pressure, altimeter shows lower than actual height. Why that we need to set the altimeter setting to local pressure to show exactly height above sea level 4,500 feet. And another thing, when fly from low to high, too much sky, because for maintain altitude you need to start to climb to back to cruise flight. So let's talk about what will happen when flight from high pressure to low pressure. Okay. Altimeter at this station at the ground, when you set to altimeter setting, for example 2930, and the local pressure at the station B is equal 2900. As I said already, when reach to flight level 4,500 feet and start the en route 5 minutes before enter the control zone control area, you should be set the local pressure. But for any reason you forgot that, set the altimeter to local pressure. Basically, when aircraft enter this area, due to this area is lower pressure, because 2900 in compared to 2930 is lower number, resulting you are in lower pressure. In lower pressure, what will happen? Air density is decreasing, right? There are a lot of room between air molecules. When air density air density decreasing, pressure decreasing. So when altimeter is located in this area is lower pressure, aneroid capsule expanded, right? Resulting altimeter shows increasing. How much increasing? We can subtract this number from this number. 2930 minus 2900 multiply 1000 equal 300 feet above sea level. So how much altimeter automatically shows increase in 300 feet? 300 feet from flight level or actual height. 4,500 feet minus plus, because altimeter shows increasing. 4,800 feet above sea level. Altimeter automatically increase to 4,800 feet because you are at lower pressure. So for maintain altitude, pilot need to start to descend because flight level should be at 4,500 feet. How much start to descend? 300 feet. 300 feet from to flight level, actual height, right? So equal 4,200 feet above sea level. While altimeter shows you when it start to descend to back to cruise level, altimeter shows 4,500 feet, but actual height above sea level is 4,200 feet. In other means, you are physically 4,200 feet above sea level while altimeter shows you 4,500 feet after a start to descend. This is very dangerous, especially if a mountain is ahead of you. And for example, height from sea level to reach equal 4,300 feet. So while altimeter shows you 4,500 but actual height 4,200 feet, you will be hit the mountain. This is very important when flight from high pressure to low pressure, especially when your flight is at night and visibility is low, vision is low, or your plane is flight over the mountain. So when fly from high pressure to low pressure, pilot should be look at below. And another thing that you should be know when flight from high pressure to low pressure, altimeter shows higher than actual height. And in this situation, you need to start to descend. So why that we need to set the altimeter setting, especially when flight from high pressure to low pressure, or even doesn't matter when flight from low pressure to high pressure. as a student pilot, you need to about that, especially when you want to fly at cross country and you want to fly over the mountain by low visibility, because just reference for pilots according to height above sea level in cockpit is altimeter, and you need to set the altimeter to local pressure. Thanks for watching.